time when brands are re-looking at their spends and they're moving more towards ROI-oriented activities. What are when they're moving towards more ROI-oriented activities, especially on digital media, that allows us to actually measure this end to end. Our next session is going to talk about performance marketing and how it has become the centerpiece for 2020 with this ongoing pandemic and lockdown. And to moderate this session, we have with us Ben Horish. Ben is a product and marketing veteran, an advisory board member and vice president at Collectant. He is also the former vice president for product at Playtika. Ben has in-depth knowledge of the mobile industry with 15 years of experience within e-commerce, gaming, and SaaS platforms. Welcome, Ben. Welcome to AdTech Talk.
Shiny, hey, thanks very much.
Hi.
Let me just quickly switch on my video.
Yes.
There we are. Can you see me? It says waiting for the host to start the video. I think you need to activate the video.
Okay.
Yes. Excellent. Hey guys, hey everyone. Thanks for joining. So quickly before we jump into things, a quick audience poll just to get a little bit of blood flowing and activity and energy. You'll see on the screen in front of you in a couple of moments a question relating to performance marketing. The question is, in the past 100 days, it's blocking my screen. In the past 100 days, has the share of performance marketing in your mix increased slightly, increased significantly, remained the same, or decreased slightly? You can key it in on the panel on screen and we'll tally up the votes and show you the results in a moment. But in the meantime, welcome to today's discussion. Again, the subject is performance marketing and how it has become the centerpiece in 2020. Now, how this panel came about or how this webinar came about is that CollectCent is a programmatic platform and our forte is mobile-based user acquisition. We've been in the industry for about 7 years. And with the huge changes that we've seen over the past 100 days, we thought it would be a great idea to get a few friends together and share some of the experiences and the lessons learned. So quick overview of the questions that we're going to be covering today. One, what are the major changes in customer behavior that we're seeing emerging over the past 100 days? And we'll go into a deep dive in a moment on those. Two, what are some of the changes in performance parameters that seem to be driving the industry at the moment? And lastly, what sort of organizational and strategic changes are companies like Discovery Plus, Flipkart, and HDFC Bank adopting? So to kick things off, introducing our all-star panel of experts, we've picked people who are well-respected veterans of their trade, and all of them have vastly different backgrounds. A big welcome, first of all, to Isaac John, a business leader with hands-on experience in digital products, business development, brand management, strategic operations. Isaac currently leads the digital business and Discovery Plus team at Discovery India. And before, he led marketing teams such as Puma, Healthify Me, and in his spare time also published, he's a published author with Penguin Random House, which is massive. Isaac, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you for having me.
We're also joined by Mahip Dwivedi from Flipkart, India's largest online retail and e-commerce platform. Mahip has over 11 years of experience in digital marketing, user acquisition, organic growth, and he currently heads up mobile and SEO growth at Flipkart. In the past, he's been associated with brands like Big Basket, CommonFloor.com, and Kotak Bank. Mahip, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ben.
Now, I was saving something, a little twist for last. Joining us from the world of banking and fintech, please give a massive welcome to Zahid Ahmed, Vice President and Head of Digital Content and Social Media Marketing at HDFC Bank. HDFC is one of the largest banks in Asia and currently the largest bank in India by market cap as of this year. And I checked that last night, so it's 100% true. Zahid is a digital evangelist who's been instrumental in institutionalizing data-driven digital campaigns, which is why this is of particular interest to us, and transformation setups across various BFSI organizations. For those very quickly who don't know, BFSI is banking, financial solutions, and insurance organizations. Zahid, big welcome.
Thanks. Hi, members.
Okay, so we've got limited time, and I want us to cut straight into some of the revealing of anomalies and customer changes in customer behavior over the past 100 days. So just a quick drill down: engagement on mobile apps, frequent purchasing patterns, what sort of trends have we seen, and overall LTV improvements. Isaac, tell us a little bit about some of the changes in customer behavior that Discovery has seen.
Sure. So let me begin by sort of just prefacing the fact that Discovery is very close to when Discovery Plus launched. It was just about when the lockdown was about to set in. So I think our insights are so in some ways we're actually more of a lockdown baby. But our insights are sort of just discolored it with the understanding in terms of what happened, let's say, within the first 2-3 weeks of our launch versus what's happening now, right? And I think the number one thing that has happened is that we initially always thought that Discovery, coming from the strong platform of trust, credibility, science, and learning, those would be like our sweet spots. And while those have been, I think what's emerged is some of the passion groups, and primarily led by food, auto enthusiasts. I think we've been able to see a more diversified mix of audiences that have come in, compared in the last, let's say, the last 60-70 days compared to let's say the first 30 days, right? So I think that would be change number one, the diversification of the consumer mix, which has come in. While food was something that we had banged on a bit, I think, I heard, I think it was Nikhil who just recently said on the previous call that he's improved his cooking skills. So clearly, a lot of people were looking for recipes, etc. And I think Discovery Plus was able to play a role there. And the same thing goes for categories like auto enthusiasts who probably they did not have many opportunities to engage with stuff and maybe go on adventure trails, etc., etc. So essentially, they were consuming very premium auto content. So I think that would be number one. Your second bit was related to LTV. It's a little early for us, I think, because, like I said, we've been in the market only for 2.5 months to really make any comments on the LTV bit. But what we're seeing is larger commitment from consumers on long-term plans. So we had a monthly plan, we had a yearly plan. We had a particular ratio in our mind that we would want to skew more towards the yearly plan. We thought it would be a 60-40, but what has happened is that the commitment that's come in from consumers is more of a long-term basis, which in a way is a bit counterintuitive, because if you're in lockdown, you're probably thinking, let me just buy this product only for the month, or and then next month I'll renew. But overwhelmingly, a substantial percentage of our subscriptions are coming in from the annual plan. So I think that's just a quick overview of some of the consumer behaviors that were interesting to note, maybe even a tad unpredictable, but those were the couple of insights that I can share.
Okay, just a quick panel question, and it was interesting to hear what you said about the different mix of consumers and how that's shifted over the past 100. I want to jump for a second to Zahid in terms of CPA. We got a panel question that just came in at the same second. Zahid, do you want to take that and kick us off?
Yeah. So I think audible, right, Ben?
Yeah.
So the question is, what are the challenges the industry is facing for CPA campaigns, especially in BFSI sector? Interesting, I think, yeah. So let's address it, pre-COVID or post-COVID. CPA is always a challenge with BFSI sector. Now, I think the biggest challenge over here is, so Mahik is there from Flipkart. In today's world, the startups, the agile tech-based organizations are very seamless. Hence, when you do a CPA deal, the deal can be actually measured end to end. When it comes to BFSI, we are learning to be agile. We are learning to be seamless. Okay. So the definition of CPA is very fractured in our jargons, in our terminologies. So what is CPA for a marketeer might not be a CPA for the publisher, might not be CPA for the agency. So for me, if it is an end-to-end conversion, now understand the banking scenario where we are regulated by the guidelines of RBI and other rules. There is a KYC that has to be done. There is an offline leg, right? So for me, if you are giving me a lead, that lead is not actually, I cannot do an add cart over here and I cannot do an end checkout over here. It's just a lead. It's not converted for me till the time the offline KYC has gone through and he is actually, and the entire legal and the risk team has approved that candidate after I get all the documents from offline mode. And then finally I end to see that, okay, he's the customer for me. So till the time I can seamlessly join the offline KYC to make it to an online KYC, which we are doing as a video KYC or eKYC, till the time I can join the process of risk approving. Okay, when I join all this process and hence it becomes a seamless process, that is the time when I can say, yes, my end-to-end journey is done for a customer and it's a CPA deal that I can do with you. So, just to answer the question, maybe just to kind of summarize in a nutshell, it's the broken journey that does not help us to go with a CPA deal for you or with any publisher, because CPA for me is different from a CPA with a publisher.
Interesting. Okay. So then how do we see a shift or a change in terms of exactly the same user funnel analysis, perhaps a little bit more from the e-commerce side coming in from Mahip on Flipkart? Do you see something similar in terms of trend or something completely different?
See, I think obviously the impact is on the down funnel, while the scenario has been not so good around for most of the people, right? And I would say specifically on industries, if you look at industries which has taken impacted, right, like let's say travel or let's say food delivery, where I think it will be months where they will see the same trend coming back. I think there, if you look at a CPA as a trend, right, or maybe at an end matrix, I think it will still be very, very significantly above and over what is expected. But I think the e-commerce is coming back to its shape. Obviously, we had our own problems, while this particular period was on. But I think at a current scenario, I think the funnel looks healthy to us. It's actually going back to where we have started, and I think it is going to get better. And I think similar thing for grocery or anything which is related to the online services.
So one thing is very clear in terms of the responses of changes in behavior. There are specific parallels that are threads across each of the three industries, but each of the industries has completely different models. So I want us to just do a quick introduction of one last audience question on this specific topic before we change to the second question, because I'm also conscious we've got, I think, another 13 minutes left. Jade, in a nutshell, would you say that in terms of the BFSI sector, is there room for CPL as a metric? Is that applicable?
See, it depends. If you talk about overall BFSI as a generic category, yes, there is a possibility completely, because people see there are certain sector in the banking audience, the marketeers, who are looking for leads to come in. Okay. There are certain players in the banking and insurance category who only want quality leads. Okay. And again, the definition of quality differentiates from multiple people to people. Okay. If you talk about me, okay, I don't want quality leads, because Touchwood, it's a 25 years organization, the brand has got established, the trust factor has got established. Okay. Even during lockdown, we see 20% growth in business. Okay, that's the kind of trust factor that people have with us. Okay, so in this kind of scenario, I'm not fighting for leads. I want quality, and if the definition of quality can be established, okay, and if the publishers are agreeing to that kind of a definition, I think we are all game for it. Okay, but yes, having said that, a lot of other new players emerging in the BFSI category, they might want to say that give me leads and we will try to do the cold calling, we'll try to convert it by hook or by crook. Yeah, so it differs. It varies from people to people.
Okay, great. Quickly changing. If we're looking for a second at changes in the actual performance parameters, so these are the actual parameters of what underpins our marketing efforts. Mahip, starting with your viewpoint from the e-commerce perspective, in terms of changes in these parameters, how has the game adapted?
So I think for sure the core objective for e-commerce would be looking at a core funnel, which is how do you get more customers and not maybe the MAUs or the visits or the traffic. I think MAUs and visits will still be important. However, the investment, or let's say a media mix, when we are going to choose in another 6 months, and I'm assuming that will be same for most of the players across the industry. It's going to be very, very careful, right? How are you going to invest monies when you know that there has been budget cuts across the industry because of the last previous 100 days, and the performances of the various companies has been not been very stable. So for me, if you ask me specifically at an e-com level, we will be very, very careful in terms of where do we invest, what are the sources that we should use it. You need to use your past data very well. I think that is going to give you a lot of interesting stuff in terms of where you should not invest and what goal you should look at it. So I think at an e-com level, broadly, you would look at customers, you would look at how the retention is moving in another 4 to 5 months, and there would be corrective actions every month as and when we move along.
Makes sense. That's fair. Isaac, do you agree? What in terms of Discovery's experience with changes in performance parameters?
I wouldn't say that the fundamentals have changed much. I think we're still looking for some top of the funnel audience to come in. You're looking for engagement in terms of are they at least watching a particular like a quartile of the video at least, or are they watching like three quartiles of the video and stuff like that? Are they landing on subscription pages? So I wouldn't say that the fundamentals have changed that much, whether COVID or not. So I would pretty much agree with Mahip's assessment.
In terms of performance marketing, specifically providing a little bit more of a runway during this period, what do you agree with the statement?
As in performance marketing providing more of a runway?
As in leveraging a little bit more of the upturn that we're seeing in terms of trends right now.
Yep.
If we're looking at the performance marketing mix specifically within Discovery, is performance marketing adding a benefit, and if so, how?
Well, it's actually different for different evolution of the brand, right? Like, for example, we are a fairly new brand. So the way I actually answered that question was that for us, actually, the performance marketing mix has not changed between month 1 and month 3, because we are currently also looking to build awareness in a cluttered OTT market. We're sort of driving home the fact that we are a differentiated OTT app compared to everyone else. So I guess for us, that mix is sort of not changed between, let's say, month 1 to month 3. But I can imagine if, let's say, it's a brand which is already established, has been in the market, is fairly well aware, does not need to spend, on top of the funnel awareness. I would say those kind of brands would probably be doubling down on, performance marketing brands. Like today, if you're an edtech brand, there's every reason in the, in the book to actually just go and really double up. And if you're a well-known edtech brand, right? Whereas if you're a new edtech brand, then you definitely do want to ensure that you have enough awareness and consideration spends going on. So I guess it's dependent on the brand and the stage at which it really is in.
Agreed. Okay. So in terms of CollectCent, we have deep-seated roots within the performance industry, and we're working with companies spread across multiple verticals. So we're seeing a lot of the same patterns in terms of what you mentioned now, with some of the younger companies focusing a little bit more on performance, some of the older, more established brands continuing with their strategy, things remaining the same, perhaps budgets increasing slightly, but the boat is not rocking as much, or the seas are still relatively calm and forward-facing. One of the questions that I've got on the top of my mind is, from all of the trends that we're seeing at the moment, what are the trends that are actually going to be lasting long-term post-COVID when it comes to a draw? But that in itself is a separate side question. So we'll come back to that. In terms of question 3, structure and strategy. In terms of, if we're looking at organizational change, many companies have contracted, have had shifts. Zahid, in terms of changes in organizational structure and strategy on your side, what have you seen at HDFC Bank?
Yeah. So see, I was also going to the kind of questions that's being asked. Okay. There are 2 types of strategy change that's happened. Okay. People have gone media dark. So the first strategy change that we took a call was, should we go media dark, or taking a lesson from 2008 financial crisis, where strong brands leveraging on media dark by being present out over there actually recovers 9x time faster. Okay. So that was the first strategy that we took, that we will not go media dark. However, my performance metrics will change. If I was listening to you guys, my performance metrics during lockdown will no more be performance as in terms of CPL or CPA. It will be more of engagement. It's more of positive sentiments. It's of driving sentiments. It's of driving the net promoter score. It's of driving the subscriber base, and it's driving more of positivity. That's what the whole engagement, which you also can term as a top of the funnel campaign. Okay. Because when we do a campaign, we believe in 3 C's, cultivate, which is nurture. That's very important. Otherwise, if you're only looking at a downstream funnel, which is performance of CPA, that's not the ideal scenario. There's no room of nurturing people. So we focused more, we slightly took a step back. We focused on top and mid funnel during this COVID situation by doing A.R. Rahman, getting the musicians, it was a clarion call. We said, let's stay positive together. And that's how we showed that the brand is there with you. Post-COVID, when the lockdown opened, if you see, what we did was we started doing a performance campaign. But again, a thought process came in terms of strategy. Should we say, here is the deal? Like, let's say we use programmatic very frequently. Okay. We have the DCO, dynamic creative optimization. And if we have to do, let's say, a campaign for AC, in a normal scenario, we should have said, beat the heat of 41 degrees centigrade. Get the AC with this offer. But now we did not do this. We said, okay, let's see what the customers are looking for. So then we kind of reconceptualized our campaign like work from home and work for home. These are the 2 things that people are actually doing. What are the gadgets you need if you're doing work from home? You might need a better laptop, like this kind of webinars. If I can't see you, Ben, properly, and an audience can't see me properly, I might just need a better laptop or a better iPad to get in touch face, right? There's kids who are doing at school. There's a wife who is also working. I'm also working. I might need more gadgets. So the whole theme was work from home. What are the things that you need for work from home? So that was the entire creative strategy that got changed. Finally, the entire back-end process, we realized that it's time that we go end-to-end digital. And pertaining to the first question of yours, Ben, okay, we realized that it's high time that it has to be end-to-end digital. We cannot bank upon the offline process anymore. So hence my IT and the BTG teams are working day and night to ensure that there's a straight-through eKYC process, there's a straight-through video KYC process, and once the entire process is stitched, we can go digital end-to-end online seamlessly. So hence we had a media strategy, we had a creative strategy, and we also had an entire end-to-end back-end digital strategy that we changed during this time.
It seems like from the strategic and the creative changes that you've implemented, one of the main shifts is a massive focus on actual audience engagement. And in terms of performance marketing, today's performance marketing is 100% all about actual interaction, about real engagement, about post-install events. Right. So this fits hand in hand in terms of how performance marketing today is stronger than it's ever been before. And I think that that's the number one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that will not change as we continue progressing, whether we're in a pandemic shift or we aren't, and it's regular steady state equilibrium. But okay, fine. We've seen a lot of changes in terms of the past 3 months. The landscape has shifted quite a bit. In terms of organizational structure and changes with discovery, Isaac, have you seen something similar in terms of the strategic shifts?
In terms of a strategic shift, I think when we launched, I think the number one thing that we had to essentially gain was actually consumer trust. I think that was, Discovery as a brand, we've been around for 25 years. And I think given that we were coming on a digital platform, it was important for us to actually, get that trust seeded with, the consumers, on the digital platform. And I think our focus was completely on that, because I think if that is set right, then, the shows, the content, et cetera, will seek for itself, right? And towards that end, I think what we really went for was not necessarily, unlike a lot of OTT platforms, which essentially just launched with like a big bang show, we essentially went with like a brand promise, right? And I think it was, in many ways, it was sort of almost coincidentally playing to the fact that people wanted comfort brands on their on their mobile phone and accessible to them. And I think we saw that kind of changing definitely in the Hindi GEC segment. And the similar thing happened with us. A lot of reviewers who actually came to us in the first 1 month is basically saying that, hey, I can finally watch this on my mobile. These are childhood shows, childhood favorite. So I think that was probably the number one thing that we wanted to get right.
So you've seen mobile consumption go up, specifically OTT mobile consumption. Okay.
Yes. I mean, OTT mobile consumption has gone up for everyone, right? So it's not just us, but essentially it's across the industry. OTT mobile consumption has gone up by 30-40%. The likes of Facebook, etc., benefit by 60-70%. So I guess for us that was a key call that we had to take as to whether we do like a show based or a brand based. And being a launch month when we did, we essentially went with like a very brand based, trusted communication, kind of a strategy. Now we have essentially started letting people know about what kind of shows, genres, etc., are available on the platform. I think if there were no COVID, that could have been a case that could have been made, which said that why not lead with key IPs and just say that this IP is available on Discovery Plus. But I guess in a way we sort of continue to play that bit of saying that this is a trusted brand, now it's on your fingertips. The second thing that we sort of realized and sort of dipped into was that people were really looking for solid learning kind of environments for their children, for themselves, etc. So I think we started building that. We started in our creative strategy. Actually, even now, I think some of those ads are currently on. When you say learning science is not rocket science, here's a Discovery show that sort of simplifies this for you. So I think those were the two kind of things that sort of popped out for us to tap into the consumer segment sentiments strategically. I mean, I would say those are the couple of, but no change in structure as such. I think it was more about the direction that we wanted to take creatively in our promise to consumers.
Right. Okay, makes sense. We've got time, I think, for one last audience question. And Mahip, I'm going to direct this question towards you. Just reading it quickly from Abhishek. From a pre-COVID marketing setup or pre-COVID perspective, did any of the tech-orientated performance marketing activities get accelerated due to lockdown? And I think we've covered some of this in the discussion, but I'm interested to get Mahip's perspective specifically on this one. So say in terms of lead scoring, SEO expansion, better product and content recommendation, what have you seen?
So what we have seen is, at an overall level, I think we have seen expansion in terms of organic growth. If I specifically speak about e-commerce, SEO has been an important channel. While in April and May, a lot of things were locked down. India, deliveries were not happening. There were a lot of demand. But you still have to build, trust or let's say engagement on people to come back to your website or let's say an app. So a lot of things I think has gone at that time where corrections have been done in terms of how do people see you as an overall picture, right? In terms of specifically, if you ask me what has been deployed, I think the core objective has been that how do we reduce the bounce rate during the COVID period? Because once the consumer goes from you, reacquiring the consumer is going to be a pain for you once you are back to BAU, right?
Right.
And this is the biggest gap that any e-com would be doing right now. So your retargeting campaigns would majorly be concentrating on how do our visitors come back and revisit us, look at giving them more options in terms of depth of supply, making sure everything is available and deliverable as soon as possible. And I think with those things across, I think we will be able to look at it in a better shape.
Okay, makes sense as well. Just before we end off, I want us to quickly extend on behalf of all of us at Collect Cent a massive thanks to everyone on our panel. Isaac, Mahip, Zahid, you've been amazing and the conversation has been stunning. I'd also like to extend a thanks to AdTech Talks and of course to you, to everyone in our audience who's taken a little bit of time out, pause from the day to quickly join in and join us on this discussion. Stay tuned. There will definitely be more of these conversations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. I think it was a wonderful conversation. Thanks for joining us, Isaac, Zahid, and Mahip. It's always wonderful to host you.
Thanks, Shani.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shani.